Frankel here on a Friday afternoon at 3 p.m. We have got 4 people viewing, so that's fantastic. Welcome everybody. I can't see your names, so give me a hi and then I'll be able to say hello to you personally. If you are watching this on replay, say hi as well, put a hashtag replay so that I can see you've been here, and it will be fantastic to see if we've got international people. I think last time I did a 3 p.m. slot, we had some people from South Africa, which was fantastic. If you're on the replay and you're watching from somewhere else, that would be excellent too. I can see Louise. Thank you, Louise. And you're watching this through our Get Drawing community group. So that's very special as well. If you haven't met me yet, I am here to get you all drawing. And today we are looking at some quick and quirky, some more quick and quirky ways just to get those juices flowing. And again, to dismiss, that's a great word, dismiss the myth, dismiss the myth, can't talk properly. Hello Sarah, nice to see you on board. I want to dismiss the myth that drawing is about drawing well or drawing so that you get something at the end that you're really proud of, and dismiss the myth that you can't draw if you can't draw something beautiful. And for today's video, we're not going to draw anything particularly masterful, although they might look like masterpieces at the end, but it's all about the fun, giving you some more creative ideas. If you've got kids at home, these are fantastic for you to do with your kids as well. So I hope you enjoy this and don't feel that every time you have to, or you feel like practicing drawing, you don't feel that you have to produce a finished image. You don't have to draw with your beautiful 2B pencils and erasers and produce something worthy of showing people. So today is quick and quirky, all about having fun, and because it's quick and quirky, I better get started. So I'm going to go to my software and I'm going to change to the Logicam. Okay, so the Logicam is, Logi webcam is what's showing my white piece of paper. You can see my red nails that are still red, and I'm trying to go back to my Facebook feed so that I can see what I'm doing. Yay, we have somebody else on board, so that's fantastic. Okay, let's get going. Now, some of you have been introduced to this technique before, especially if you've been in my classes, but it might surprise some people to see what I'm going to do, and that is I'm going to transfer my pencil to my non-dominant hand. Now, I haven't actually picked something to draw, which is not very clever of me. I thought I'd got everything organized, so I'm just going to draw my mouse. You can see my mouse sitting there, but obviously where you can see it, the angle that you can see it from is not the same angle that I can see it from. And so left hand, my dominant hand is my right hand. Hi Tony, thanks for joining us. Okay, it's not as difficult as you think to draw with your left hand or your non-dominant hand. You tend to slow down a bit because you haven't got as much control, or any control for that matter. But you'll be quite surprised at how accurate you can get. Pretty boring structure at the moment, but it's quite simple, so it's quite a nice thing to do. And because your brain knows that you're not likely to get it right or perfect, it goes, don't worry, just go for it. Now, here's my, now I was given an excellent piece of advice that I haven't taken from one of our watches, which was to draw with a dark pencil so that you can see what I'm drawing. And I've been reminded about that because I've just looked up and I can see that you can see it's hardly visible. So I'm going to see if I can go over it with my 6B. Can you see that a bit better? I've got a tiny little screen that I'm watching. Yes, that's much better. Okay, so you guys can draw with whatever you want. And I'll try and remember to draw with this nice 6B to show you so that you can see what's going down. I'm also noticing that that light is casting a shadow. So let's see if we can move that round so it doesn't cast quite as big a shadow. How about that? And oh, you can see the reflection of the light. So I'm now going to put some shadow on my picture. So even the shading can be done with your non-dominant hand. Don't worry about rubbing out. Just go for it. That wasn't the paper that I was meant to be drawing on. Okay, so here's my nice big sheet of paper. So drawing with your non-dominant hand, fantastic. I've got a glass there. If I draw, try and get a nice ellipse going. So most things go out the window when you're concentrating on drawing with your non-dominant hand. But you'll get a nice quick and quirky glass. How's that? Okay, so we're 10 minutes in. Let's move on to our next one. Try and do your non-dominant hand for quite a while. Don't swap to your right hand quickly. Have a play with it, see how good you can get. Do it a few times. Okay, next up. Now, this one you might need a bit of help from if you have if you have somebody in the house with you. Now, I don't have anybody in the house with me, so I'm going to do it on my own. And that is drawing by feel. And I have a bag next to me. You can do this with a shopping bag as long as the bag is opaque. You can't see through it. Now, clearly, I know what I'm going to be drawing. But if you have somebody in the house with you, they can put something in the bag that is not visible to you. I'm not going to show you what I'm drawing. I'm hidden it in my hand. I'm going to put it in the bag. Yes, I know what it is, but I'm going to demonstrate how I'm going to draw by feel. So the object of this exercise is to have something small, relatively small, in there so that you can draw it and feel it in your hand. And that's exactly what you're going to do. So we're not using our sight now. We're just using your feel, my feel. And I can feel it's got a flat bottom, and it's basically, so going up the left-hand side, it does that. Ooh, it's got a pointy thing at the top. Now, I know that I know what it is, but I am still trying to feel it. And there's another pointy thing there. You should already be able to see what that is. And it's coming down the side. Oh, there's actually quite a dip in there. And it swells as it goes there. Can you see what it is? It's a bit small. Anyone want to have a guess? Okay. Oh, but at the bottom I've found something else. And something else is kind of... Now the problem is I'm drawing in 2 dimensions, and the thing that I'm feeling has got 3 dimensions. Anyone want to hazard a guess? Type it in the comments. And it goes along, and I've got another one of these pointy things here. Okay, if I go up through the middle, there's a sticky outy pointy thing here. And a sticky outy pointy thing here. Those are technical terms, by the way. And actually, there's actually a shadow here. It actually goes in here. And there's a round sort of soft thing sticking out a little bit. And that's about it. I don't know if you can see that. An owl. Oh, thanks, Deb. Could be. Oh, okay, I can feel something in there. And I can feel something in there. What else can I feel that I'll be able to show you? I can't feel anything here, although I would imagine there's eyes there. Okay, let's take it out the bag. Ha, there you go. Okay, so that's a little Japanese cat that my daughter brought for me. I think my daughter did. Maybe my son did. Both of them have gone to Japan. So that didn't help me very much because the eyes were painted on the cheeks. So I couldn't have told that. If I'd held it on the side, I might have been able to show the side view. So it's a bit challenging, but it's a little bit of fun. It does challenge your brain to think in a very different way. I've drawn it about life size, which is quite interesting. Your first guess was right. Oh, great. But you didn't tell me, did you? Deb said that her first guess was right, and then she changed it to an owl. Thanks, Deb. Okay, so it does look like you kind of go life size with this. If you draw as your finger goes up along the way. So that's your second very quirky and a little bit quick thing to do. Okay, let's jump along to our third thing. Now, most of us, not everybody, has got newspaper at home. If you haven't got newspaper at home, you've probably got a flyer that got delivered through your letterbox, or you've got a letter that you're about to throw away, so something printed on it, or some magazines that you have finished reading. And I'm going to use this to draw on because I feel that you don't always have to have something precious, you know, beautiful white paper, and as I said before, you don't have to have these pencils here to draw with. So I've got myself some texters to draw with. I won these in a little door prize, so I'm quite excited about that. That was a while ago, but anything you can find. I've got a Stabilo highlighter here. I thought I'd brought a few more things with me. It really doesn't matter what you draw with. Ballpoint pen works fantastically. And I want you to just doodle, basically. So we're going to doodle. I'm going to doodle using some of the words and shapes that I see in the newspaper to muck around with it. I used to, when I was a kid, we used to draw our names, and one of my favorite things to do was to go around. Does anyone else remember that? Did anyone do that? Can you see what I'm doing? Is it close enough? As I said, I've got a tiny screen to look at, and I can't really see what's going on. Does anyone else remember doing this sort of thing? So, as I said in my email, we are playing. Allow yourselves to play. Now you might think that this is not doing anything for your drawing practice. Let me tell you that it is, because every time you're drawing and relaxing, well, every time you're drawing you're relaxing first of all, especially if you're not having to think of all the different things like measuring proportion and seeing if the tone's right, the things I usually prattle on about. But the other thing is you're actually getting what we call pencil mileage. And so your right brain, if you want to think of it like that, your creative centers in your brain, those pathways are getting stronger and stronger every time you do this sort of thing. So you are actually strengthening those pathways, even if you think you're not. You're also being a bit creative, even though I'm being directed by the shapes that are in this writing, and now I'm coloring them in. Believe it or not, this is also considered creative. So creative doesn't have to be some major big piece that everyone comes along and admires. It just needs to be doing it. Used to call it rainbow words. Oh, thanks for that, Lois. I'm not sure if you pronounce your name Lois or Louise. I'm assuming it's Lois from your spelling. Okay, so what I'm doing now is not bubble words anymore, but just doodling. So you can do this in front of TV. You can do it with your pencils if you want. It's also helping you think about design. So even though I am pretty randomly putting these layers down, every time I pick a place to put the tone down, I'm actually making a decision, even if it's a subconscious decision, on design and where I want to put it, where I want to stop, how far to go, how dark to go. It's asymmetrical at the moment. Some people like doing symmetry. So you are actually making creative decisions, even though you might think you're not. So this kind of freedom, where you're allowed to do anything. And what's this allowed business anyway, when it comes to creativity and drawing? You're actually making little decisions about how you think things will look. You can color in the letters. Okay, so that is your third quick and quirky. It's pretty quirky. You can obviously draw on photographs as well. There's a bedspread there. Maybe I'll change that bedspread and I'll put some flowers on it. So I'm changing a little photograph in there and putting a little flower on it. What else? I can go to this wall in this house and I can see what it looks like. Painting it red. So the sky's the limit when you do this sort of things, and it's really a fantastic thing to do and have a play with. So that was your third quick and quirky. Take that one away, and we're going to go back to my white paper here. Okay, the next step is, or the next quick and quirky, is going to be also about doodling, but we're going to give ourselves a place in which to doodle. So we haven't got that big scary white piece of paper, which often doesn't help. I've got a piece of, or I've got a roll of masking tape here. You can use whatever sticky tape you've got in the house, magic tape if you've got it. It doesn't really matter. I'm using cartridge paper. You can just use a piece of printer paper if you want. I can hear some of you saying, but won't it tear? Yes, it might. And you can see that I am putting quite straight pieces of tape down. Let's see if I can put some curved ones. So what I'm doing is I'm creating some templates. No, not some templates, some shapes on my paper. I quite like that curve. So I'm going to curve that one again. I can't believe that it's 3:25. I love sharing this stuff, so I do tend to go on a bit. Okay, so in the brevity of time, well, to have a bit of less time to show you, I'm going to stop there, and we're going to now doodle in here. And oh, let me see if I've got a pen. I thought I had all of these things organized. I did, but I've been distracted for some reason. Okay, so you can again do this with anything you've got. I'm going to do it with this clutch pencil. Actually, I will do it with the purple pen so that you can actually see. And you are going to doodle within these shapes. So you can color in, you can do your mark making. You can also draw right the way across it. If you'd like to draw some objects, go for it. There's my traditional apple that I always do. There really aren't any rules with this. You can change colors. You can color in some of the shapes that you've created with your drawing and not only with your tape. So I'm doing this quite rapidly. You can do it as carefully as you like. I think I want some other patterns going down. Don't think to yourself, oh, this is messing everything up because I did that all scruffily. My brain is saying a little bit, oh, Karen, you're so messy. Aren't you meant to be showing people how to do things properly? This is proper as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so similar doodling to what we did on the newspaper, but instead of using what's in the newspaper as our prompt, we're using these shapes that we've created with the tape. And not only the shapes that we've created with the tape, also the shapes that we've created with some of our lines. So I want to see what happens with that. And what the tape's going to do, I'm going to take that off now. I quite like what that looks like without taking the tape off. Now, it is going to tear, but let me tell you, you get some surprising looks when you tear things. So, for example, that's going to come and it's going to, it tore against that because that piece went underneath that piece. But I quite like that sharp edge. So this masking tape is peeling off quite nicely. This is just on cartridge paper. I didn't press hard. And so there's a big element of happy accidents or surprises when we peel these off. When you come up, you know, sometimes when you peel masking tape, you tear half of it like I've done there. So I might just put some more color over that while it's in half position. You can take this as far as you want. Obviously, you can peel it all off and then put some more tape on top of that. and then carry on going. So I'm really enjoying what's being revealed there. How about that? Okay, so that's another little quick and quirky. And let's see, is anybody else? Ah, hi Heather. Nice to see you on board. Just seeing your comment. Okay, so lovely, quick and quirky. As I said, you can come back with more tape, see how many layers you can do, build this all up. Obviously, you can do it with colored pencil. You can do it just with ink, just with pencil, see what happens to the layers. You can get really into that. In fact, I'm quite excited about that. I might continue on with this and then post that up later. Okay, for our last quick and quirky. It's going to be not as quick as the others. Depending on how long you take to do it, you can make it much quicker. I will try to make it a little bit quicker for you. But most of us don't have much to do at home. Well, not much to do at home, but we've got time on our hands. And so I don't think taking too much time is going to be too bad. This last technique is called drawing by direction, and I am not going to show you what you're going to draw, so I might put you back onto my face instead of down on the paper. There we are. Hello. Now you can see that big bright light. I will have to move that out the way. What does it look like now? There we go. Are we there yet? Yes. Okay. Have I moved that sufficiently? Good. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, I did ask people. I should have reminded you at the beginning of this video, so apologies for that, but it doesn't matter. You can just catch up or watch the video again. I asked people to have with them an A4 size-ish piece of paper. You can even draw this on the newspaper. It really doesn't matter. That's about the size that we're going to use. And I have a photograph in front of me. And I'm going to give you directions on how to draw or what to draw from the photograph that I'm looking at. So this is a fantastic thing that you can do with children especially, but you can do adult to adult. You can also, of course, do it across the internet. So even if you are at home on your own, you can do this with people, and it's a lot of fun. I will, of course, show you what the image is at the end, but I'd like to see if see how you go, see if you enjoy it. If you enjoy it, we'll do a few more. Hello Rita, thanks for coming on board. I've got 8 people on this. I think that's a record for me, so that's fantastic. Okay, so can you give me some sort of indication in the comments if anyone has got a piece of paper and a pencil with them to draw? Anybody, any takers? Hello Ray, thanks for the love. Nice to see you on board, Ray. Okay, I'm going to assume that you've got something to draw with. If you haven't, draw with your finger on the tablecloth. Just try and imagine. Thank you, Sarah. Thanks, Lois and Heather. Yay. Okay, so a few people have. Don't worry about it, Ray. You can get one later. Don't worry about it, Deb. You can try this again later. Just don't watch right till the end, otherwise you'll see what the picture looks like. Okay, so my picture is about an A4 size. It doesn't matter how big you draw it. It is a picture of trees and a building, and I'm going to tell you where about these things are in the picture. About a fifth of the way up from the bottom, the building starts. It's a small little cottage type building, and it fills in about, it's harder than I thought it was going to be. It's a couple of centimeters in from the left, and it's a little bit higher up from the bottom. That's fine, Deb. You've got a notepad. That's great. And the shape of the building, not including the roof, extends to just past the middle of the page. So it's up a little bit, and it's over a little bit, and it goes just past halfway. No, that doesn't look very useful. Actually, I might go back to, this is the first time I'm trying this, so excuse it. I might go back to the overhead video. And then I'll carry on talking, and I will talk about where things are, but I'm not actually going to draw. Okay, so your cottage starts about there, goes up to about there, across more than halfway, and then down. I'm doing a very, very simple version of this. Not as complicated as... Thanks, Ray. Not as complicated as the actual picture. Okay, on top of our cottage, we've got a triangular roof. And on the left side, this is cheating with me showing you, but on the left side of the building, we have a chimney coming out of the roof. So you're all needing to be drawing very quickly. And the cottage it's actually on the, I was going to say we can actually see two sides of the cottage, but don't worry about that. About a third of the way in on the cottage, we have the first tree, and it is the tallest tree. And the trunk of the tree, I just put a roof on before you said, well, you've got to wait for me. You've got to wait for me. You didn't know what shape roof is. Okay, so we have a tree trunk that starts about here, and it goes up. I'm not going to show you how far. I'm just going to tell you the actual trunk goes up about halfway up your page. So it extends above the roof. And that's where the foliage starts. And the foliage is quite narrow on this tree. And you can, I was just going to say you can see, but you can't see. The foliage goes right up to the top of the page, and it's a fairly narrow tree. So I would say that the foliage of this tree is not as wide as your cottage. The left-hand side of the foliage probably lines up with the left-hand side of the cottage, but the right-hand side doesn't. So it goes right up to the top of your page, and that's full of sort of cloud-shaped foliage. The next tree, that tree goes in front of the cottage that you've drawn. And on the right-hand side of the cottage, on the right half, I'd like you to put a door in the center, just like a kid's door, and two windows on either side. Are you having fun? This video is going a bit longer than I anticipated. I hope you're having fun. Let me know. Let me know. I'm dying to know. Okay, so the second tree is growing up out of the cottage at the back. And this tree has got lots of long trunks. We can't actually see the bottom of the trunk, so it's got lots of extended branches going up from behind our triangular roof. And it goes to about halfway of the previous tree. Thanks, guys. The door goes where? Okay, in the middle of the space or on the cottage? It goes on the cottage, but it's towards the right-hand side of the cottage. So if that's your cottage, the door is over here. So our middle tree has no foliage on it. It's got branches going off in all directions. And it's got lots of, I'm going to show you something, lots of triangular negative shapes, if you know what negative shapes are, between the branches. And it goes as high as halfway of our first tree. Then we're going to move to our right-hand tree. And that tree starts, oh, I've just realized there's 4 trees on this picture and I'm getting totally confused. How about that? Okay, we'll conflate it into 3 trees and take this as a lesson for next time. I think maybe we'll have to have a separate video doing this next time. So I'll just describe that quickly and we'll end the video. And if you like this, I can do a video just for you guys and I'll explain things more clearly. So for our 3rd tree, it's about the same size as the middle tree, but it starts at the side of our cottage. And it starts about where the bottom of the cottage is. The trunk goes as high as only where the roof starts. It's the same height as our middle tree, but this tree also has foliage on it, so lots of bobbly clumps of foliage. I think I'm going to make it, that's it for this video. It's just a trial, and if you like it, please let me know in the comments and maybe we'll do a special live video just to do one of these. But it's a bit of fun anyway. You can get a much simpler design. So if you want to do this with children, you can get a very simple cartoon drawing and make them draw triangles and boxes and lines, and then try and describe that, which will be much easier to describe. Okay, are you ready to see the photograph? I'm going to show it to you now, and there it is. So, as you saw, I got a little bit confused with that. There's a tree, big tree growing up on the side. I will post a photograph of that in the notes below. I hope you've had a bit of fun today. Show me what you're doodling. I'd love you to post in our Get Drawing exclusive group or below in the comments. I'd love to see what you're doing. See you next Friday, if not before. It's side on. I did mine front on. Oh yes, the house is side on. I agree. I did, when I told you about it, I did say that it was front on. I thought it was too difficult to describe the corner, so don't worry about that. Glad you liked it, Ray. Ray's saying cool. I will see you next time, next Friday, if not before. Bye, everyone.